Now, from the Pope John Paul II Cultural Center in Washington, D.C., Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome to The World Over Live. You have no doubt heard about the controversial Ground Zero Mosque. Well, there's another controversy brewing in New York, this one concerning whether the Empire State Building will honor Mother Teresa on the occasion of her centenary. Catholic League President Bill Donohue is here to talk with us about the Mother Teresa rally he's organized next week in New York. And later, a special treat. Former actress of stage and screen and now prioress of a Benedictine abbey, Mother Dolores Hart is here in studio. She'll talk about her career, the career she gave up in Hollywood, and the much more significant role she's taken on in recent years. If you'd like to join in the program, and I know you will, we're at 1-800-221-9460 in the U.S. and internationally 205-271-2980, or drop us a line, an email at worldover@ewtn.com. We'll try to get to all your questions, though I warn you, it looks like my Mac is acting up tonight and I can't get the emails, but we'll see. Let's jump right in. Here's the brief news from the world over this week. From dictatorship to democracy, 7 years and 5 months after the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq, the U.S. combat mission there has ended. The last U.S. combat brigade rolled across the Kuwaiti border Thursday. The price of freedom was high. Credible estimates put the number of violent deaths since 2003 at over 100,000. And at last count, 4,415 U.S. servicemen and women lost their lives in Iraq. Violence perpetuated by Islamic militants continues, and the country's Christian population remains vulnerable to Muslim extremists. 56,000 U.S. troops will remain in an advise and assist mission with Iraq's military. All U.S. troops are scheduled to leave Iraq by the end of 2011. And as Pakistan continues to be inundated with catastrophic flooding from recent monsoons, a devastating humanitarian crisis has emerged. More than 4 million people are homeless, and another 20 million are in need of aid. An estimated 1,600 have been killed. A full one-fifth of Pakistan is underwater. To give you an idea, that's roughly the size of Italy. Waters are not expected to recede until the end of August. Pope Benedict XVI remembered the people of Pakistan during his Wednesday audience and appealed to the international community to respond generously. And comments made this past weekend by President Barack Obama about the Ground Zero Mosque controversy have turned the already sensitive issue into a national controversy. At a White House dinner celebrating the Islamic holy month of Ramadan, the president supported the rights of developers to build the mosque and community center in Lower Manhattan. He later qualified his statement, saying he was not commenting on the wisdom of building the Islamic Center 2 blocks from the World Trade Center site. The lead developers of the mosque said that they are not willing to change their plans to build on the current location. More on this in our next segment. Meanwhile, in Cordoba, Spain, Muslims are lobbying to worship at the Catholic cathedral there. Formerly the Great Mosque of Cordoba, the site was converted to a Catholic cathedral in 1236 when King Ferdinand III captured the city from the Moors. Responding to the Islamic requests, the Bishop of Cordoba, Demetrio Fernandez, said it would be like a man sharing his wife with another man. There are things that are shared and others that are not, he said, and the Cathedral of Cordoba is not shared with Muslims, end quote. The White House issued a statement Thursday affirming that the president is Christian. This was a response to 2 recent polls which show increased confusion over the perceived religious faith of President Obama. In a Time magazine poll conducted earlier this week, 24% of those surveyed said they thought the president was a Muslim. And in a separate Pew Research poll released Thursday, nearly 1 in 5 people, or 18%, said they think President Obama is a Muslim. Last year, 51% of Catholics surveyed said the president was a Christian. This week, that number dropped almost 20 points to just 32% of the Catholics surveyed. And plans for gay and lesbian weddings in California have once again been put on hold. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has blocked the resumption of same-sex marriages as prescribed by a federal court earlier this month. That ruling struck down the voter-backed initiative Proposition 8, which defined marriage as the union of one man and one woman. The 3-judge Ninth Circuit Appeal panel is expected to hear arguments in the case in December. And plans for gay and lesbian weddings in Mexico are moving forward. This past week, the Mexican Supreme Court affirmed the right of gay couples to marry in accordance with Mexico City law. The court ordered the country's 31 states to recognize Mexico City's same-sex marriages. This week, the court also declared the right of homosexual couples to adopt children. And former Archbishop of Quebec and Primate of Canada, Cardinal Marc Ouellet, took up his new post as prefect of the Vatican's Congregation of Bishops this week. Cardinal Ouellet told Canadian Catholic News that bishops need spiritual discernment and not just political calculation when speaking out on issues of the day. During his 8-year tenure in Canada, he was one of the most outspoken defenders of life and family in that country. As prefect of the Congregation for Bishops, Cardinal Ouellet will assist Pope Benedict in appointing bishops. He says he'll seek out men of faith with, quote, the guts to help people live it. And progress continues for the Good Sisters of Our Lady of Solitude outside of Phoenix. Construction on their brand new monastery is well underway. This past week, they installed beautiful stained glass windows in the new chapel. The Desert Nuns, as they call themselves, are still raising money for chapel pews, an enclosure wall, and the actual monastery for the cloistered sisters. It's been 5 years since these daughters of Mother Angelica set forth from Alabama to the Arizona desert. For more information about the Poor Clares of Perpetual Adoration of Our Lady of Solitude, go to their website at desertnuns.com. They're a great group. And don't forget, and I'm only going to say this for 1 more week, so stop writing those letters, starting September 2nd, the world over will premiere on a new night, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Our re-airs will remain the same. This will give many of you a chance to watch us live. And though the night is new, we'll still be bringing you the great shows you've come to expect. And if you find yourself traveling to D.C., why not come see us? Drop us an email at worldoverdc@yahoo.com and we'll reserve your place. You can always find this information at raymondarroyo.com. The World Over Live moves to Thursday nights starting in September. Up next, Catholic League President Bill Donohue on the Ground Zero Mosque controversy and his rally to get the Empire State Building to honor Mother Teresa. The World Over Live continues in a moment. Stay right there.
Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to the World Over Live. Catholic League President Bill Donohue thought it would be a nice gesture to have the iconic Empire State Building light its tower blue and white in honor of Mother Teresa's 100th birthday. The building's management didn't share his view and turned down his request. So after much cajoling, Donohue has decided to take matters into his own hands. He's organized a rally. To tell us about it and the controversy, we're joined by William Donohue, president of the Catholic League. Good evening, Bill.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Ray.
let's get right into this, Bill. Now, what difference does it make whether the Empire State Building is lit blue and white on Mother Teresa's 100th anniversary or if it's red and green?
If this were just one other building in New York City, it probably wouldn't matter. But this building is known the world over. This is an iconic statement and a building itself. They're making a statement to Catholics. I say that because they've recognized the Communist Chinese, they've recognized the Ninja Turtles and Mariah Carey, they've recognized all kinds of different people and events. What they're basically saying is this: you Catholics don't count. If Mother Teresa, of all people, is not worthy of having a tribute, of having the towers shine her colors, then no Catholic need apply. So what we want to do is to rally the people to make a statement in a very professional, nonviolent way, of course, and having comedians and having celebrities and politicians, people of all different faiths coming together Thursday night, 6 o'clock, in front of the Empire State Building, basically to say this: we think this issue goes beyond Mother Teresa. This is a slap in the face. This is an insult to Roman Catholics. We have our place at the table. Our voice must be heard in the public square. And if we did not do that, then we would be nothing more than a tarmac, a piñata, a walking mat. No other group in New York would put up with it if their group, if their heroes would dislike this, and we're not going to put up with it either.
If you'd like to comment, give us a call, 1-800-221-9460 in the U.S. and internationally. You can reach us at 205-271-2980 or email us worldover@ewtn.com. The computer seems to be working now, so send those in. Now, Bill, the Empire State Building management says they have a policy against lighting for religious figures and religious organizations. What's your beef with that?
Well, they lie about it. That's why. This is not a matter of he said, she said. It's not a gray area. I have the proof. The people who are watching tonight can find out the proof after the show. All they have to do is go on our website. They can check out all the information about Mother Teresa. We have the application that I filled out in February. I think it was February the 5th. And it says nothing of the sort about that one paragraph about no religious figures and institutions being honored did not exist as recently as February. They put that in there after we were denied, and we have the proof of that. Indeed, they recognized Reverend Martin Luther King, a religious figure, last January. Previously, before Anthony Malkin, the secularist who took over the Empire State Building as the owner, they recognized Cardinal O'Connor, John Paul II, the Salesian Sisters. No, it's very, very clear they've lied about it on top of everything else.
So why do you think, what's the upside for them forbidding this honor for Mother Teresa? I mean, we're all on board. You can look behind me. We've got our blue already shining for her here. But why do you think they're taking this hard line? I mean, with all of this opposition and the support that you've seen from not only New Yorkers, but people all over the country and the world, why aren't they backing down?
Well, I was asked that same question today by the Wall Street Journal. I'm going to give you the same answer, Ray. No one really knows definitively, and that's because Anthony Malkin, the owner of the Empire State Building, refuses to speak to a single reporter or any media outlet. People hang up on him. They hung up on Lauren Green the other day from the Fox News Channel, the religion reporter. Daniel Hernandez is the hired consultant, the guy who runs the PR firm. He hangs up on people. CBS had their people escorted out of the building over on 42nd Street where Malcolm Properties is. So what we're left with is this. We know one thing. Anthony Malkin likes to give his money to pro-abortion organizations, pro-euthanasia organizations, radical separation of church and state organizations. He said no to the Marines, yes to the Communist Chinese. I'm beginning to see the picture. This is the picture not of an activist, but clearly of a militant secularist who certainly harbors an animus against the Catholic Church, if not Mother Teresa and or Bill Donohue. Quite frankly, I don't care if he hates me. That's water off a duck. I am concerned when he just basically makes a statement to Catholics is that your heroin here doesn't count.
So Bill, what is the point of your rally next Thursday? And what do you expect to see there?
The point of the rally basically is one thing: to make it known to cultural elites in our society, in New York and elsewhere, that Catholics have a place at the table, that we want to be participatory, that we have a public voice that must be heard, that you cannot just diss us, that you cannot disrespect us, that you cannot treat us like second-class citizens and act like as if we're chicken liver and don't worry about us. We feel that this is an outrage. I am having Catholics, Protestants, Jews, Muslims, and Hindus speaking at the event. I'm having liberals and conservatives, Republicans and Democrats speaking at the event. Why? To show that this ubiquitous support is there because Mother Teresa transcended Catholicism. She was the world's greatest humanitarian. And when you attack Mother Teresa, you attack Catholics, but you also attack people from the Albanian community, people from the Hindu community. I met today with a bishop from Kandahar in India and another Indian priest. The support we have gotten from bishops in India, bishops in the United States, from people of all religions, I'm very proud of it.
Bill, there is a group that came out just today. They are opposing you. So-called Catholic groups are supporting the decision by officials at the Empire State Building not to light the blue and the white on the tower there in honor of Mother Teresa. They include Catholics for Choice, Call to Action, Catholic Women Choice, Dignity USA, the New Ways Ministry, that's a sterling group. I think they've been excommunicated, haven't they? Women's Ordination Conference and the Women's Alliance for Theology, Ethics, and Ritual. What do you make of this, Bill?
Yeah, don't forget the National Coalition of American Nuns who like to go into court in favor of abortion. As I pointed out today, if you took all their dues-paying members and you put them in one place, they could fit inside a phone booth. Now, you might say, well, why would I care? They've either been excommunicated or they've left the Catholic Church one way or another a long time ago. Here's what matters. The Catholics for Choice, formerly Catholics for Free Choice, they are funded by the establishment. Just as Anthony Malkin is the establishment who owns the Empire State Building, you have the Ford Foundation. You have Hewlett-Packard. You have Warren Buffett. I hope people understand Warren Buffett, who supports this group, Catholics for Choice, which is a termite group out to destroy the Catholic Church. They've had no effect, thank God. But in 1993 and in 2000, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops explicitly condemned them as a fraud. So what is their effect? They are of no historic moment, but in one sense, I'm happy they did it. It's out in the open. Their hatred of me, I guess, is so bad that they now want to attack Mother Teresa by not having the lights lit up on August the 26th. You know what? The police are delighted. We'll have no opposition. We expect thousands to be in the streets on Thursday night, much to their chagrin.
I want to go to the phones. Bill, Joe from New York, you're on the world over. What's your question for Bill or your comment?
My comment to Bill is, why don't we all just do good work as a birthday present for Mother Teresa? And I'd like to hear his opinion on that. Thank you.
Well, I think that makes sense to some extent, which is why we have up on our website, by the way, a list of all kinds of organizations in the tri-state area for New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, where we're located here, where you can give money to the Missionaries of Charity, the Sisters of Life, and all kinds of good pro-life causes and the like. Where I think this man misses the boat is this. I don't run a pastoral institute. People have said to me, would Mother Teresa approve? Maybe not. She was a very humble woman. She didn't want to be discovered, as Father Brian, who was her postulator promoting her cause, once said. But I run a civil rights organization. Yes, it's a Catholic civil rights organization, but it's an advocacy group. We're here as a pressure group, just as Jews and blacks and Latinos and gays have their groups, and they do a fine job. I'm here to represent Catholics. We will not be a doormat, and that's why I'm saying this transcends Mother Teresa.
Yeah, Bill, we're getting some emails, people in Buffalo saying the Peace Bridge there between Buffalo and Canada, they're going to light the bridge blue and white. So this project actually, and the focus on it, has inspired other groups across the nation to create their own mementos and memorials to Mother Teresa.
Yes, and I was just in Buffalo on Wednesday with the Catholic War veterans, and I thank Bishop Kamek and everyone else for the good work they're doing there about this. It's not just in Buffalo. It's in Belfast. It's all over Miami. It's different parts of New Jersey. It's the U.S. Intrepid. We've got politicians saying they're lighting up in the Bronx and Brooklyn. It's going to be all over the world. I spoke to the bishop from India today, from Kandahar, and I'm telling you, this is a worldwide celebration. And listen, everybody loves Mother Teresa. I mean, Christopher Hitchens, my poor devil of a friend, wrote a 99-page book, and I had to tell him the truth that I would have to give it an F if I was a professor because he didn't have one footnote, one citation, one endnote. That's what you get when you have no evidence. I mean, and we have the American atheist and these excommunicated Catholics. But aside from these people, they're on the fringe. They're lucky they're not in the asylum. Every normal person in society of any religion and no religion whatsoever have contacted my office. They're all very, very happy about this, and we're going to make a statement to Mr. Malkin and to others.
Well, even the U.S. Postal Service is commemorating Mother Teresa with a stamp. I mean, that's far from a religious organization or a religious endorsement even.
Well, listen, when I have everybody from, and I love him, the former mayor of New York City, Ed Koch, from Ed Koch to Sarah Palin, when I have people of all persuasions, sexually and religious and otherwise, saying we're proud to stand with the Catholic League, I think this is probably the safest kind of protest I've ever had. That's why the police are delighted, because usually when they have a demonstration in New York, they have to worry about the counter-demonstrators. As I said, you could probably put them into a phone booth, the number who might want to do that.
Okay. Bill, I want to shift gears for a moment because this is sort of related, this Ground Zero mosque controversy. I want to play you a clip. This is President Obama from last weekend at this iftar dinner at the White House. Listen to his comments on the building of the mosque at Ground Zero.
As a citizen and as president, I believe that Muslims have the right to practice their religion as everyone else in this country. And that includes the right to build a place of worship in a community center on private property in Lower Manhattan in accordance with local laws and ordinances. This is America, and our commitment to religious freedom must be unshakable.
Bill, what do you make of that? What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I question his veracity. After all, it's not just President Obama. We take a long list of different editorials from newspapers and pundits and Mayor Bloomberg here in New York. I've never seen such an epiphany. All the people who have been diehard secularists and adamantly opposed to school vouchers or anything the Catholic community would want are automatically now very interested in religious freedom when it comes to honoring Muslims down at Ground Zero. President Obama went to Georgetown University only on the condition that they put a drape over IHS, the Latin for Jesus Christ. This is a man who will go down in history as gutting faith from the faith-based initiatives. This is a man who told the Catholic bishops, I wouldn't fund abortion with federal dollars, and then went right ahead and did so. Mayor Bloomberg, the same kind of pedigree. So we're finding all of these new converts to religious liberty when it always comes to come at the expense of decent American values. Look, I'm a veteran. I'm not just a Catholic. I'm honorably discharged from the United States Air Force. I support the right of Muslims to build their mosque any place they want, but not to make a statement like this. I looked out my window on that fateful day and saw it from the 34th floor on 34th and 7th. Both of the Twin Towers go down. Decent Muslims know that this mosque does not belong 2 blocks from Ground Zero. I'm appalled that you would have anybody who would want to do it. But then, of course, there are more than just a few extremists in Islam, and they're speaking here now, aren't they?
Bill, Mayor Bloomberg hasn't spoken out and supported this effort to honor Mother Teresa. I would imagine that this would fit in with his call for religious tolerance and a test for the American people.
No, he's equivocated. He said, well, it's Malkin's choice of what he should do. I just hope he's consistent. How lame. We have everybody else coming out in favor of Mother Teresa. Is it because he's so tied up with his friends in the real estate industry? I don't know. It could be. All I know is that if you put Obama and Bloomberg together and you went back, as we have done at the Catholic League, looking for examples where they have been this vocal in support of the First Amendment right to freedom of religion, quite frankly, you don't find a whole lot. But when it comes to the Muslims of Ground Zero, these guys are the best supporters of religious freedom I've ever seen in my life.
Bill, we're getting emails. Jane writes from Australia. Good on you, Bill. You're a great bloke, and we're praying for you. Please pray for us, too. It's election day in Australia, and there's a choice between an atheist and a pro-life male. So she's rallying the troops there, but they're supporting you in Australia. Tell me again about the rally. Who's going to be there? Is it going to be you and a group of Catholics, or is this an ecumenical affair?
We have about 15 committed speakers. There may be some more. I don't want them to go on any long-winded account. We're opening up with my friend Jackie Mason. Jackie's Jewish. Jackie is, of course, one of the great comedians of our time. I had feeling that he may make some chopped liver out of Anthony Malkin as we open up with him. Lionel is very well known around the country. Friend of mine. He's now here at PIX, a commentator. He's got a great sense of humor. We have the woman who's the head of the Hindu Temple Society of North America. We have people from the Jewish Action Alliance, like my friend Beth Galinsky. We have a Muslim man who represents the Albanian community in the United States. He called me to let me know after we met in City Hall that he's Muslim. I said, that's fine by me. And he says, can the Albanian community come in their own colors and uniform? I said, absolutely, they're welcome. We have Reverend Michael Faulkner, a very distinguished minister. Ruben Diaz, a minister and a New York State senator. We have Republicans and Democrats. We have Peter Ballone Jr., who's coming in. Officer Steve McDonald, who was shot in the course of duty as a policeman. He's an icon here, a hero in New York City. We have John Dunleavy, who organizes the St. Patrick's Day Parade here in New York City every year.
Where is all this happening? Tell us where this is happening and when.
It's happening Thursday night at 6 o'clock. It's going to be in front of the Empire State Building. The police are giving us between 5th Avenue and 6th Avenue, probably the longest block in New York City. We want people to enter on 34th Street and 5th Avenue. And we're going to have a sound system. We're going to be playing music about Mother Teresa and a little story about her. And we have a surprise ending, which I thought of, which has to do with the 8th wonder of the world, and we're going to have a nice statement there. And if we have a spillover, we'll have 6,500 people in the streets in that area. If we have more, the police, the New York City Police Department, I love them. They're the best in the whole world, and they're going to extend on the other side from 5th to Madison if we need it. I think it's going to be a great event, and that's why I have people who are not Catholic speaking at this event. They treasure Mother Teresa. And we're so proud of having them here, and we're going to make an important public statement. And thank you, Ray and EWTN, and the coverage that we've been getting. The Today Show, I want to thank them for the great job they did when I was on with them. We've gotten so much support from so many people. I'm very, very proud of it.
Well, Bill, we'll follow up next week and see how all this goes. And again, they can get more information by going to CatholicLeague.org on the Internet, correct?
That's exactly right. CatholicLeague.org. You can call our office if you want as well, but the website gets you all the info you want.
Very good. We'll leave it there. Bill Donohue, always great to talk to you. Up next, we'll talk to Mother Dolores Hart. Why did she leave Hollywood for the life of the cloister? We'll find out when The World Over Live continues. Stay right there.
Told her I met $1 million boyfriend in a 5 and 10 cent store. Danny, aren't you ever going to kiss me tonight?
By your example, I have been called. All my life, I have longed to find to what I could give my whole devotion. Love has been a confused thing in me until I saw your love of all life and all God's creatures. I wish to be devoted to that love.
Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
My next guest began her acting career at 18, starring opposite Elvis Presley in his 1957 hit Loving You. She's acted with Montgomery Clift, Anthony Quinn, Robert Wagner. But her life changed in a remarkable way when she entered a convent in rural Connecticut in 1963. Here to tell us about her journey and what it means to find one's true calling, please welcome Reverend Mother Dolores Hart. Great to see you. So glad you're here. Thank you for taking the time and being away from the Abbey. First of all, do you ever get sick of talking about Elvis Presley? Be honest with me, Mother.
No, because in the monastery, they don't talk a lot about it. In fact, they don't ever talk about it.
Well, I would hope not, but
so,
I know every time you're out, that's all people want to talk about.
They don't get out very much anymore.
Well, tonight you're out, and so we're going to take full advantage of this. Now, 1957, Loving You, you're in this film. Did you imagine and know what a cultural marker this would later be at the time?
I won't go into the whole story, but when I got the part and walked into Mr. Wallace's office.
Hal Wallace, the great producer.
Right, and I was so struck by the fact that I met Elizabeth Scott and Wendell Corey, because they were movie stars. And they introduced me to this young man named Elvis Presley. I had no idea who he was. He jumped to his feet and ran over and grabbed my hand and said, "Hello, Miss Dolores." And I thank you very much. And we talked about the film. Of course, I went back to Marymount, and all the girls said, "Oh, did you take a lock of his hair?" And I said, "You've got to be crazy. I mean, really, what are you talking about?" Yeah. Then they told me what and who he was, because at school I wasn't into music, and I didn't know anything like that.
I want to play the audience a little clip of this. This is from Loving You, 1957. This is Elvis singing to Mother Dolores Hart. She wasn't Mother Dolores then. Take a look.
You know that I'd always be loving you.
That was just lovely, son.
I never heard you sing.
What do you think, Mother Dolores, as you hear that?
I think he's wonderful. I always did.
Yeah.
I used to, every time that he was on a set, I would go there and just be in just amazement at what an incredible talent he was.
You did 2 films with him. You did King Creole later. And there's an interesting story. You said they would close down the streets because everyone wanted to get a look at him, glance at him, touch him. And you all they would shuffle you from room to room, and sometimes it would be
in King Creole. We would go with the elevator to the top of the building, and they had to put boards from building to building that they would take us, because you couldn't go on the street. They were like mobs and mobs of kids. And so we would go from building to building, and then we would wait in one of the rooms, and the lovely part about it was that's when I got to know him, because we would sit and read the Bible.
Yeah, tell us about that. He'd open the Gideon Bible there in these hotel rooms you'd be waiting in, and flip to a passage. And
he would flip to a passage, and he would read to it. And he'd say, Dolores, what do you think of this? And then he would read something, and I thought, at first, I thought it was a game, but it wasn't, because he was a Southern boy, and the Bible was very important to him. And I understood at that time that he was a very fine person. He really was.
And you also, my wife the other day she was very upset she couldn't be here because she loves Where the Boys Are, the 1962 movie you did. And
1960.
Oh, 60,
yeah,
1960. Right. And she went on and on. Oh my God, she was so beautiful in that movie, and she stood vivacious and so. Do you ever miss that whole world?
Oh, of course. I loved it. I wanted to be a movie actress from the time I was 7 years old.
Your mother and father were both actresses as well. Or actors. They weren't both actresses, I hope. Well, one was an actor, one was an actress. And you wanted to do this from an early age. At 18, you're sort of thrown into this world, and you were successful right off the bat.
Yeah,
really.
It was amazing. It was an amazing gift.
Now, in 1959, you do a Broadway show, and while there, one of your cast members recommends that you visit an abbey.
Well,
why?
We were in a long run, and I was I had as many sides. That means I had a lot of parts in the show, and I was dog-tired, really. And my friend said, you know, would you like to go up and take a rest at this abbey? And I said, no way. I said, I've had my dealings with nuns.
You had enough with the nuns in Chicago.
Yeah, I didn't want to go back into a school relationship. And she said, no. She said, Regina Loudis is very different. She said, you'll be surprised. And I said, by what? And she said, well, it's very quiet, and I especially want you to meet Mother Placid. And I said, well, that sounds interesting. So anyway, I said, all right. So I went there, and I liked it. It was, and Mother said, you can come back. And so I began to come back every once in a while, and in between shows, in between films, I started to go back.
If you have a question for Mother Dolores, give us a call, 1-800-221-9460 in the U.S., internationally 205-271-2980. Now, so what happened there? Did you get the first inkling that you might have a call to the religious life during those visits?
I asked Lady Abbess in the very beginning, I've said, do you think that I might have a call or a vocation? And she said, absolutely not. She said, I think you need to go back and do your movie thing because you're too young, you're too inexperienced, and you need to get this under your belt. So you just go back and do that. Well, I was so relieved.
I mean, you were dating at the time.
Yes.
A gentleman that you would soon be engaged to.
Yes.
And then you suddenly, you do another important film. I want to show a clip of this. St. Francis of Assisi, you play St. Clair.
Yes.
Take a gander at this, and then we'll come back.
Say after me, I renounce the world and all its vanities.
I renounce the world and all its vanities. I am thy daughter, O Lord. I ask to be worthy of thy commandments. I offer thee, O Lord, my renunciation. Erase from within me every trace of vanity. I had a voice. I will have it now only for prayer. I had a heart. I will have it now only to throb at thy teachings.
That was rather prophetic, a rather prophetic performance. What impact did that have on your eventual decision to join the religious life?
Well, when I had gone to Rome, I met Pope John the 23rd, and he asked me my name, and I said, Dolores. And he said, no, tu es Chiara. And I said, oh, no, Your Excellency, Dolores. And he said, no, Chiara. Well, I thought I would die on the spot. And so when I got this film, I really rejected any association that this would have for vocation, because I said, this is too much. I thought, God cannot really be this obvious.
He's more subtle than this, right?
Yes, this is too much. And besides, Mother Abbess told me that this wasn't the case. So it really wasn't until I did a film called Lisa, about a girl, a Jewish girl who was in a concentration camp. And oddly enough, it was that film that really began to turn my heart.
You say, I've struggled with the call to vocation all my life. You've said that in several interviews. Explain that, because it seems such a clear path here when you look at it, when you see the progression here.
Well, I think that a vocation is a call from God. It is for every young woman. But God doesn't come down in a pillar of fire. He comes through people, and essentially he comes through love. And when you are caught by a relationship or an experience in which you know love, something in you asks, what is it that I really want to do with my life? How do I want to see my life really work? And what am I meant to be? And what do I want to do with my life? And something inside of you asks yourself, how do I want to make this happen? And you get caught.
Yeah. Well, you were certainly caught. Now, you were dating and engaged to Don Robinson.
Yes.
This had to be difficult, breaking off this engagement, because you really cared for him.
Well, Don was magnificent because we were engaged to be married, and at the party in which we were going to be married, as we were driving home, he stopped the car and he said, Dolores, you have to tell me that you really love me. And I said, Don, right here in the middle of the road, you lost your mind. I said, what is it that you want? And he said, tell me, because you are not there tonight. Something isn't right with you. And I said, what are you saying to me? And he said, I think you've got to go back to that monastery and get something straight, because you're not with it. And I said, Don, what are you saying? He said, go back there and work something out so we can continue, right? Well, I got on a plane that night.
Really?
And when I went back to Regina Laudis, and that's when I really had a serious talk with the abbess. And I knew this is what I had to do.
I was always fascinated by that story because the caveat is, and I don't know if many people realize this or not, Don Robinson never married. He comes to visit you every year, Easter and Christmas. And he's even said, when this first happened, he said, we have to do this together. So you have to go to the monastery.
Well, when I came back and I told him, I said, Don, I think I have a vocation. And he said, in many words, I knew it. He said, but I want to tell you something right now. We're doing this together. And I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you, even though it hurts. And he was so mad. I've never known anybody who's so mad. But he stayed with me all through the years. And as you said, Don never married. And I wish he would. I wish he would have, but he didn't. Because, as he said to me, all marriages don't have to end at the altar. And he said, I am committed to you as if I were with you in that very calling.
It's beautiful. I want to share, there's an email that just came in and from Houston, Texas, and Nicholas asks, why did you not select another name when you entered religious life? Of course you did, didn't you?
Well, the abbess did select another name because she thought that everybody would be after me, and Dolores, so she named me Sister Judith. And I was named Judith for 7 years.
And then it's when you took your final vows?
I took my final vows. She gave me back my own name because she thought that it was about time for me to resume that.
I want to play a clip for the audience here. This is Patricia Neal, the great actress, Academy Award winner, who just passed away last week.
Yes.
Speaking about Mother Dolores and the influence she had on her life. Listen to this.
Mother Dolores Hart, she's a fantastic woman, knowing as how she's had this terrible illness and she's come out of it. You know, she's a fantastic woman. I would like to send Mother Dolores my great love because I do adore her.
You all were very close.
Yes.
Tell me about that relationship. Was it Maria Cooper, Gary Cooper's daughter, who brought Patricia Neal to see you the first time?
Yes, because Patricia's husband, Roald, had divorced her.
Roald Dahl,
Right.
the great children's writer.
And Patricia came to this country to write a steaming book about him.
Oh.
And Maria sent her to us because she thought it would be better if she came. And our Mother Benedict said, Patricia, you may not write that book. It will do you no good. It will do nobody any good. You are to stay here and calm down, which she did. And afterwards she said, now I want you to write a book with Mother Dolores. That will help you. So she did.
She wrote the book As I Am, you wrote with her.
We spent 5 years doing 1,200 pages.
Goodness.
And then my great friend Dick Denutte came in, and he wrote As I Am with me, and that was the final book.
The autobiography of
Yes.
Patricia Neal. Now, the interesting thing about Patricia Neal, a lot of people don't realize, Maria Cooper brought her to you. Maria Cooper was the daughter of Gary Cooper, with whom Patricia Neal had had an affair in 1948, and as a result of that affair, she was pregnant and aborted that child, and it was one of the deep regrets of her life. It is astounding how the daughter of Gary Cooper is the instrument that brings her not only to the Abbey, but is an instrument in her eventual conversion to the faith. Tell us how that happened.
Well, I think that it happened because of the grace of God in Maria. Because Maria knew that forgiveness demands an action. And I think that is one of the deepest realities of Christian love. You can say, oh, I forgive you, but when you do, you have to do something about it.
I want to go to the phones. Kathy from Colorado, you're on the World Over Live. Very quickly, what's your question for Mother Dolores?
Yes, thank you, Raymond and Mother. I was recently going through some of my old albums, and I stumbled across an Elvis album. And as I was looking at the different songs, I saw Miracle of the Rosary, and I thought, gosh, what is that? And I played it, and it's Elvis singing the Hail Mary, and I was delighted to hear that. And I was just wondering if Mother could tell us if he had any strong connections to Catholicism. Maybe she would know that.
I doubt that very much. I think Elvis was, he was a Southern boy, and I think his devotion was to that. I don't know what the Southern Baptist faith, but I don't think that cut him out from whatever music of any faith that spoke of truth.
Yeah, beauty and truth. There's a great little home video that has surfaced of you and Elvis, you playing the clarinet and Elvis at the piano at your friend Jan's party or something?
Jan gave a birthday party for her friend Valerie, I think, and that was on Hazeltine Avenue, yes.
Yeah, there it is. People can see it now. Playing along there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right.
That's fantastic. But now tell me, there's a connection here because we were just talking about beauty and art. Your Abbey has a connection to the arts in the local community. Tell us what happens there. This is very interesting, I've discovered.
Well, because of Patricia. Patricia did some poetry reading after she got out of her pits and was able to begin working.
But she lived with you all for a good long time, for like a year. In her autobiography, it says, I traded my street clothes for the black dress of the postulant, scrubbed off my makeup, I removed the rings from my fingers, covered my hair with a black scarf, I looked at the bare walls of my cell. I did not live the exact life of a postulant, but I did my best.
She did, and she dusted the grill magnificently. None of us have been able really to. Anyway, the point is that she was great, and she did stay for inside the monastery for, I would say, a few months.
And she did some readings for you in a theater setting? Is it a theater?
No, you see, she did the reading on the hillside, and during the reading, a terrible thunderstorm came. And it just knocked everybody to pieces. The tent was ripped, and at the end of it, she said, I'm never going to do this again here, darling. I said, well, what are we going to do about this, Patricia? He said, well, I think you should have an outdoor theater here. I said, well, can you help us? And she said, well, I will sign my book, and I will do that every year at your fair, and we'll get some money up. So we built an outdoor theater, and we'd been having the theater there every year since 1976. But this put the cream on the cake, because we now have every summer we do outdoor theater with all the different shows from Broadway. We've done West Side Story, and this year we did Guys and Dolls.
Wow. So it's fun, and it's connected to the Abbey. Is it on the Abbey property?
Yes, of course.
How beautiful. How beautiful. And you, the other thing we should say is I didn't realize this until working on the research for our interview. Patricia Neal is buried at the Abbey as well.
She asked to be buried there, and I told her, you can't do that, Patricia, unless you become a Catholic. And she said, "Oh, well, I'll worry about that, and I'll work on that." This was about 20 years ago.
Oh.
Well, she became a Catholic 4 months ago.
Isn't that something?
And died
just in time. Let's go to the calls. There's a caller on the line. You're on the World Over Live, Richard. What is your question?
Hello, Mother. Richard, Summit, New Jersey. Your inspiration of Claire had a great deal in inspiring me to profess. I'm a third order, but I took a Franciscan name. He had communicated. I got a nice letter, 2 letters from you some years back, but I want to say I admire you in your focusing on your calling in a world that has so many distractions. We love you, and you're a heroine in our part. And thank you so much, Mother. God bless you.
Well, that's very kind of you, because I know that the Holy Spirit does give us strength for anything we need to do. So I do appreciate that.
Now, in recent years, we only have a minute. You've been struggling with this neuropathy, which is a very painful disease. I know you've testified on Capitol Hill about it. How are you doing now?
I am doing very well, and I count on the Neuropathy Association. They're having a summit meeting here in Washington in December, and they keep moving and keep doing more things to help this disease that is conquering so many more people than anyone would ever believe, because it's a nerve disorder, which is like putting your finger into the light socket and taking over your body if you don't have the right treatment.
Terrible. Well, you seem to be doing wonderfully well.
Norman Latoff, my doctor, is, for me, I pray to him. I pray for him.
Sometimes I pray to my doctor.
Yes.
I'll take anything.
Yes.
Mother Dolores, it has been such a joy seeing you and having you on the program. I hope you'll come back.
I certainly will.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
God love you. Thank you for coming on. To find out more about the Abbey of Regina Laudis and the work of Mother Dolores and her sisters, visit abbeyofreginalaudis.org. It's there on your screen. .com. They're correcting me in the control room. Mother's here making the big eyes rolling, making the fist. I've seen that from Mother Angelica before, so I know I've got to move along here. We want to remind you that the World Over will be moving to Thursday nights. In the meantime, you can always follow us on Twitter and Facebook. You know where to find us. And had you joined us, had you been following me, you would have gotten a great article on Mother before the broadcast. You would have been all prepared for this interview. So anyway, we will be looking forward to seeing you all in September on Thursday nights. And the papal visit to the UK is coming up. And we will be bringing you live coverage. We won't let you miss one moment of this incredible historic visit. You're not hearing a lot about it here in the U.S., but you will soon. Don't miss a moment of it. EWTN's coverage September 16th through 19th live. We thank you for joining us. Until next week, we will be scouting the world over for all that is seen and unseen. On behalf of the staff and crew of EWTN News, I'm Raymond Arroyo. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye now.